Classes in session. Welcome to Unlearn 16, classes in session. Sorry, as I did that, I rubbed my hands together and cat hair flew all over me. People watching this always say, oh my God, Joanna, look at the orbs. Everybody's all about the orbs. Here's the unfortunate reality, guys. It's always cat fur, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
It's always.
Mine's always dog hair.
It's cat hair. It's all it is, guys. I'm sorry. But, guys, Stu and I have come to you to talk about Stu's favorite season, my second favorite season, season 6 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Oh, we're finally here. Do you feel good about it, Stu? Because I know it's been a long wait.
It's been a long road.
Through 4, you know?
Yeah. Having to talk through season 4 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer was perhaps the hardest of my journey on this long, long road. Talking about Glory also was quite difficult. Having to discuss Zander for 3, 4, 5 seasons. And oddly, he is still in the show in season 6 against... I don't know, just against all odds, he's still alive and kicking. The only human. But he is a construction worker in this one, so at least he has some sort of civic duty to build buildings. So that's good. No purpose in the actual world of Buffy, but it's really nice that, like, I know that he can lay a good brick. Not wood, because I would never touch that man.
That's it.
Not pipe.
That is the only...
Yeah.
Stu, do you remember seeing season 5 in real life? When it was just on for the first time?
I do. I remember seeing it in real life.
Okay, amazing. When she dives into that thing, and then we don't think season 6 coming back. I don't think we knew season 6 was happening when she... Did we know?
So what I remember from back then is, like, now my memory is basically just sepia tones of that time period in my life. It was just like horse and buggies, dirt roads, a lot of farmland.
No internet.
No, God, the internet was in its infancy. Nothing super like technological stands out. Like, I'm still using I think I had a brick phone at that point, if no phone. Anyway, so I used a fax machine at home. My parents had a fax machine for all the faxes we received, which I think in the 10 years of having one, I'm pretty sure we received 3 faxes, and 2 of them were ads. So it was money well spent of having 2 lines. Anyway, what I remember is there was a website called spoilersluts.com.
A website?
It was a website. Now, it could have been a fever dream. It was bought out by Michael. I think Michael Azziello was the major contributor to it. That is my dark web conspiracy theory. But it was called Spoiler Sluts, and they had inside information into, like, season 6. So they were like, after the UPN purchased WB, and it became like the UPN because they canceled Everwood, which I'll never forgive them for, in favor of Seventh Heaven coming back for its 29th season.
With that really good Christian dad.
With that really great Christian dad that had no controversy.
None
and
whatsoever.
Wasn't problematic at all.
Not at all.
They canceled Everwood, the most wholesome show ever. Emily Van Camp, I love you. If you can get her on this show to talk about anything,
Ooh.
I will be here with bells on, and I will probably just vomit in
What's
happiness.
Her name? I gotta work
Emily
on it.
Van Camp. I'm obsessed with her.
Emily Van Camp.
Yeah. Anyway, they said after season 5 ended, they said they were in negotiations for season 6, and it looked very, very promising. But Angel was staying on the WB, and Buffy was going to UPN.
Yeah, so they couldn't
do Joss Whedon was having a full-on breakdown and was, like, all up in his feelings and didn't come, and he was, like, just, like, all angry at the season 5 like 100 episode or whatever it was, and
Right.
just like angry, angry, angry. But they said the sources said that season 6 was coming out. So my how old was I when season 6 came out? Like 15, 16 years old. I
What
was
is
like,
that? What year is that? I'm gonna look it up.
it was 2001. So I was only 50,
Oh
50
yeah.
16. I was 16 years old. And I was so happy. Like the happiest I've ever been in my life. Like it was up here, like top tier happiness. I don't think I've ever experienced the happiness in the like going forward in my
Quite
life.
that much. I got you.
Never again. Um, and also like Joss had just sold his new pilot Firefly,
Oh
so
yeah, yeah.
already he had like he had split his energy and focus into
Right.
Angel, and now again
To
it was
Firefly.
like the Horcruxes in Harry Potter, like Buffy, Angel, and Firefly, and Joss Whedon was the Voldemort of the story. Anyway, so that's what I remember is the infancy of the internet when people just said wild things, but no one held them accountable like now. Now people at least are like, that's craziness, wild. Whereas before they were like, everything is a fact. If it's
Right,
on the
right,
internet,
right.
it's real.
Now we have no facts left. Yeah.
Now we have no
Okay.
facts. But there's
Done.
the land of
Do it.
no facts. Opinions reign supreme.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you need. Okay, so you knew season 6 was coming out because you were on the internet, just you
I
apparently, because
believed
I
it, just
I didn't
me.
even I
No,
didn't
you were
even
still
I
using a
hated it.
typewriter and a scroll and ink. Like I was
You were
there.
in it.
Me and George Jetson were the only ones on the internet. Being,
All right, so
oh
we roll
boy,
into season 6. In your mind, obviously he's coming back for season 6. Buffy can't be dead. In your mind, what did you envision? Did you envision her coming back wrong? Did you envision it? Because it was very much a pet cemetery moment, right? They even used the right language. Like sometimes they come back wrong. I'm like, can you just steal that from Stephen King? I don't think you can just pluck
right.
that.
So I'm gonna be super honest with you. I I thought they were gonna do something similar to what like Charmed did and just replace her. Like I
You didn't think
really
Buffy was coming back?
so no, I really didn't. Like I
Oh.
really didn't believe that at all. And
You thought they were going to bring another Slayer in, and the show was still going to be called Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
well, that's the thing is that I mean, like, because it was Charm season 3 was playing on 2001 at the same time. So like it was as season 6 was airing for Buffy, Charm's airing its third season. So no one knew this kind of switcheroo. But I was convinced that they had set Dawn up to replace Sarah Michelle Gellar. And I thought it was going to
Oh,
be like the power was going to be given to Dawn, and I
oh.
was I was angry about it, and no one had confirmed that belief. No one had started that belief. It all lived in my mind, and believe me, I was the angriest Buffy fan ever for something that no one confirmed or brought up. I was like, Dawn's the new Slayer.
That's so
She's
horrible.
fucking has all of her
Oh, it's a
power.
horrible
It
diversion.
was horrible. So and then of course like the Buffy bot was in it, and I was like, when Sarah Michelle Gellar was in the first season, like the first episode of the show, the first scene, I was like, oh,
Yeah,
thank God. And they were like, it's the Buffy bot, and I was like, this is the worst. Dawn's the Slayer. Like it was like all of my beliefs were confirmed in that moment.
that's just what a horrible thing to put yourself
It
through.
was horrible. It was just real
Well,
bad.
well we kind of knew by the end of season episode 1 that they were bringing her back or they were doing something.
Yeah, they were gonna do something.
So you kind of
Wait,
knew that.
was
Now,
it? I
now
feel
again,
like
do you think they should have been allowed to use the whole? What if she comes back wrong? I still think Stephen King should have had a chance to ring in on that. I think she should have been wrong for longer.
I feel like yeah. You know what? I'm gonna correct myself. The reason why I thought that was because I had actually they aired before. So I saw that Shannon Doherty left and there was a whole E News thing and they were like, you're gonna replace
Oh
her
yeah,
with
yeah.
Rose McGowan. And that's why they confirmed in my head that it was Dawn. I was like, because it happened on Charmed, a completely different show, it's gonna happen. It's gonna
That
happen.
wasn't
Mark my words,
named
people.
the main character.
Yeah, but like it worked in my head because they were charmed and there's only three of them. There couldn't be a fourth one, so I was like, they're gonna replace. I was like, that's it. I would have lit fire. If Dawn had become the Slayer, Joanna, I would have
I can't
stolen
imagine.
a
Well, people
car.
would have stopped watching, I think.
People stopped watching in season 5 when she chose death over Dawn. Like,
Death is her gift.
death was the gift that she gave herself. And guess
Yeah.
what?
She
Willow
didn't want to have
pulled her
to
out of that gift.
she didn't want to take care of Dawn.
God, it was a
Look,
return to
I
sender.
know it was bad CGI, but Willow throwing up that snake, well done.
It was well
Well
done.
done, sir.
Also, like,
Well done.
would you do it? Here's my question to you. So we watched
I love
Bargaining Part 1, Bargaining Part 2. So like the fact it was 2 hours long was amazing. My question to you is this. If you had an ability to bring back someone in your life and you kind of like cast a spell to Osiris, would you go through all the tests? Could you stomach it? Like the
Yes.
bugs under your skin, the snake out your
Snake
throat.
out the mouth.
Hmm.
I feel like that just hurts for a minute.
Yeah. I mean, yes.
I don't the deer situation, but I think I would. Listen, I'll tell you what. Willow, the reason why Willow is the best character on this show
Mm.
is this season. I mean, it's all the seasons. She's amazing and all, but like
Hmm.
this season, her metamorphosis, her character arc, everything about her, you go, first of all, you go, amazing storyline. You go, damn, who knew Allison Hannigan could act like that? She has this dark soul that nobody knew about. And I was blown away. Every scene. I'll tell you the funny part about season 6. I tell all of my kids to watch Buffy all the time. All the time. I've been
Mm.
telling my kids to watch Buffy for 20 years. Quite a while ago, maybe about 12 years ago, I had a grade 6 class, and they all liked staying after school and whatever, and they all wanted to watch Buffy. I didn't even bring it up with them, but they all wanted to watch Buffy. So, sure enough, we start they come in the morning when they're there, we put on an episode of Buffy. They're at lunch, they're bored, or after school, we do a day here and there where we bring in treats, we watch Buffy.
Yeah.
Anyways, they all are about to go on their merry way for summer break because we don't get through all the seasons or anything, right? And I'm like, and they've all gone out and bought the box set, Stu, but they're grade 6
That's
and they
amazing.
haven't watched season 6 yet. And I all of a sudden had a moment where I had to call all the parents, and they all knew we were watching Buffy. It's not that they didn't know,
Yeah.
but I forgot the content of season 6, and I had to make that phone call. So I had 12, 14 parents that I needed to call to have a chat with how
Oh,
dark this season got.
it got dark.
It
You
got
know,
dark.
I want to ask, yeah. So, like, here's the thing with this season. It's like this season was hated by fans when it aired. Everyone, like, they called it the
Because it was
worst
so dark.
chapter of the series, the dark thorn in the side. And like, I will say that my dislike of Marty Noxon, and I don't know this woman personally, and I don't dislike this woman personally. I think in the shows that I like that she has kind of like contributed to, and not created. Her
Right.
show that she created, like the Girl's Guide to Divorce, I love that show.
Love that
That was a
show.
fucking amazing show.
Yeah.
So like well done. But like some of the other shows she's done, I just feel like her tonality and the things that interest her and the way she wants to bring these characters around, I think didn't always fit the general feeling or vibe of the show. And I can think you can kind of like use one very like prominent example, and that even she has kind of like gone back and said like, "Ooh, maybe I went too far there." Was the death of Tara. When Tara was killed,
Mm.
like people were pissed.
Wanted to riot. It's true.
Well, yeah, exactly, because it was one more example of kind of that the kill the gays mentality in Hollywood, where it's like we will make this wonderful character that everyone loves, and she happens to be gay, and we're going to kill her. So it was a really I understand it for the sake of storytelling that it caused Willow's major kind of break from
Decline. Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
being being good and the tenets of her like core character. Um, but I just hated it. Like
Yeah.
there was a part of me that just hated it and really resented the fact that a major gay couple on TV was just removed in the most almost insulting way. Like
Yeah,
she
it wasn't
didn't
even, it
die
was Warren,
as
right?
a hero. She didn't die as a um
Like if she
out
would
of
have
all of
died by
out of
glory, that could have been
yeah, like
more.
all of the monsters, all of the gods,
Yeah.
everything that she but like a rogue bullet killed her. And then like they left her to die like left her dead body in the room. Like it was just so beyond tragic and just I don't know, it was just so
But I guess
completely
that was the point, right? I mean,
yeah,
the point
well, I
was
get
for
it.
it, it's kind of like when her mom died. Is that they live in a world of
Yeah.
all of this mystical energy, yet they still live in a world with humans, and humans can be just as disgusting, if not more so, because demons
Mhm.
do it because they're born that way. They're bad. They're whatever. They're driven to whereas Warren, who is just sort of the narcissistic, misogynist
Yeah.
example of disgusting and depravity. But I feel as though the show had to come up against that quite literally rather than metaphorically. Because if you're
Mhm.
gonna have a feminist show, even if it was or wasn't at time, whatever, they had to come right up against it. And I think all of the things that Warren's character, I don't know if he can, if Adam can walk around the anywhere and not be still connected to that
Yeah,
to
like
Warren,
leering at him.
but he was so disgusting and awesome in that role that I think having just a regular guy who is that pathetic in so many ways and dangerous because of that pathetic insecurity and smallness. I think that was a pretty powerful character. And I don't think Willow would have gone through she needed something tragic. Just like everybody, right? Buffy needs to lose her
Mhm.
mom. She needed to lose Angel. Angel lost everything. He had to leave. Spike lost everything. And then Spike had to go get a soul. Like all these characters, except for your favorite, had to go through these big arches, and it had to be hers.
Mhm.
And there was nothing else that was going to push Willow there.
That's the thing, is that like I don't know, it just felt a little bit sadistic the entire season, but again, I love the season. I think the season is a great kind of conversation about addiction and bad choices and the kind of
Yeah.
the really hard stuff that you go through when trying to find yourself,
Yeah.
especially in a world that is not so black and white, that is very, very gray. So I really did appreciate that. I think that some of the like it's a very coming of age season. And I mean, I really did appreciate kind of the weightlessness of Buffy's like existential dread that she felt in
Mm.
every single um
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
And I mean, I felt kind of like with these more broad stroke supernatural characters that are kind of sweep in and have like the monster of the week, the overarching
Mhm.
theme. I really did appreciate that there was like a continuous storyline,
Yep.
that it was one
Absolutely.
unified thing. What I
Mhm.
think when I have a problem, and I completely agree with you, that the world is as evil as the characters that they create. I think when I found it insulting, just to clarify, it was more so that they never really dealt with gun violence before, other than season 3 and What's My Line, when the
Mhm.
cop goes to shoot her. Um,
No.
there's never and like Oz gets shot and Buffy
Yeah,
I
there
think
was
gets
a couple
shot.
times. Well, there was a school shooter. What's his face?
Yeah, Jonathan as well. It just felt sort of like for someone that is such a core character to be snuffed out by such
Yeah,
and Willow says it, for something so small, so like
she held it.
to like
God, that was
tear
a
out her
great
light.
scene.
It was
That was a great
just
scene.
it was a wonderful scene. It was just
They
It
asked her to come.
was,
I think Tara. There was a moment after this was all said and done that there was talk of her coming back. Eh?
yeah, there was this whole thing. So like, I know that there's a whole conversation over, um, they asked her to appear in Conversations with Dead People in season 7, where she was going to play and kind of
Yeah.
um, taunt
Or
Willow in the library and like push her towards suicide. And then Amber Benson was like, I really don't want to come back and do that. That seems disrespectful to the character and the fandom, which thank God she didn't. But then there was this whole rumor, and again, like this was not, it's never been like truly confirmed, I don't think, where after Buffy sort of saves the world from the Hellmouth and closes the Hellmouth and fights back the first evil, the Angel of Destiny, very, very similar to sort of like where Charmed took it in the end of their
oh,
season run, was going to offer her a a gift for saving the world. And
oh,
Buffy, there's gonna be a last scene where Buffy and Willow are talking in Buffy's in Willow's bedroom, and she was like, "Oh, like, did you make your choice? What did you choose?" And Buffy's like, "Oh, I got some really great shoes." And Willow's like, "Did you? I'm sorry, you got like Destiny gave you a gift." And you bought shoes, and she's like, "Oh no, I bought the shoes before." And then like it reveals Tara. She's like, "This is the gift," and it was supposed to be Tara, but apparently schedules didn't work out or whatever. But again, no one's ever confirmed this. I don't think. I read this in an article somewhere, and I would have preferred that ending to the ending of Buffy just kind of standing at the end of season 7, like over a pit.
smiling.
We're smiling with
It
like,
should have been the secret end. You know how like Avenge everybody does it
yeah,
now? It should have been you go through all of the thing
yeah,
and then you have a secret end. Maybe we should just ask them to come back and,
they come
do
back and
that.
do it. But like, if you think about it, the end of Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 7, she's standing at the edge of a pit with Dawn, Faith, Willow, Xander. Anya's
Just
been just
smiling.
slashed
Yeah.
and falls into the Hellmouth. She had exactly a second of like screen time when she was murdered, left for dead. Xander
That
with
was
his
the
eye
worst. To
patch
be
on.
honest, that was the one that
It
I was
was
just
so
like,
disrespectful. Robin Wood, the principal, is
yeah, who
bleeding
cares?
out in the bus driving it. So like he's
Yeah.
gonna die because there's no hospital for miles and miles away.
Went into the
Um,
pit.
they're all like, Buffy, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, no, but seriously, what are you gonna do? Like, you have no house, no job, no bank account.
We need
You
a
have nothing,
follow-up.
no assets. Like, what? And you're a bus full
No
of bleeding
assets. Well,
and
it doesn't
beaten
matter. Her
girls.
house was depreciating asset anyways.
No, literally, but you have a bus full of bleeding, broken girls, an almost corpse driving the bus, a felon, like a felon next to you, and like
I
none of you have jobs except for Xander. Only his entire job is gone, and then
well,
an out of like work librarian. Like, what are you gonna do? What is your job?
I don't mind the end like that. I really don't. But I now that you've described to me how it could have ended, I'm very mad.
Hmm.
Um Sometimes we just should know better answers. You know what I'm saying? We should not think of things that could have been
Yeah.
better. All right, so we roll into season 6. Buffy
Hmm.
out of the grave. We left her in the grave. Willow goes through all the trials. Maybe we shouldn't have done it. We're messing with things we don't know. And she comes back and she seems a little wrong, but she's not eating anyone's brains.
Like, and that's like I felt that like the episode Afterlife, after kind of like Spike warns of like the effects of a
Oh, yeah, yeah,
resurrection
yeah.
spell.
His morning was
Like,
good, actually.
it was an interesting episode, and I think that it was like really good. The first like couple of episodes were very, very good um at like kind of building up this season and kind of uh really, really like hitting home how she feels,
Yeah.
because again, she's been pulled from this like heaven dimension, or heaven itself, whatever your religion classifies that heaven feels or looks like. And you kind of see her struggling with just like the mundanest of tasks of like making lunch for Dawn, getting Dawn to school, like doing her, like getting her life, getting a loan. And I felt like what people
Getting
have some
alone.
problem with is the fact that none of these conversations were happening prior to this season. Like, it was
Yeah.
just sort of assumed that it was in that like TV magic where the monsters break into her house, like break down her door, break down her house, and it just like
It's fixed.
it's
Yeah, yeah,
fine.
yeah.
It's replaced the next day. Whereas, like, actually being confronted with the fact that her mom was buying like cheap furniture because she knew it would get broken, and then like had taken a second mortgage out on the house, like that, and
Yeah.
like the savings and all that kind of stuff for like Buffy. It's very interesting to sort of get to it, but it was again like the show was geared toward um like teenagers and early 20 somethings who may have not experienced those problems yet and
Yeah,
didn't
it's
want
true.
um their heroine to be like going to the bank and begging the bank for a loan because she doesn't have a job.
Right,
Like,
right, right.
it was
You thought
interesting
that,
but I like it because it solidifies how hard her life is on both sides. That
yeah.
the demons that she was fighting is no longer an allegory for the darkness and the demons
It's
that
true.
we fight, but now she's actually fighting along with the demons.
Yeah,
She can't get a bank loan.
yeah,
Like, she can't fix
exactly.
the windows.
Yeah. It's so, and they do it so well. I mean, again,
Hmm.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think, you know, I loved her in Buffy, but in the earlier seasons, you just don't get a scope of how that she can act. And I believed all of that. In season 6, every single there was moments when she was vulnerable, moments when she was pissed, moments when she was disconnected, moments, and she would switch so quickly
Hmm.
depending on whatever the scene was. And I bought all of it. I thought every she just did such an incredible job of making me care about those things.
Yes.
Now where was where was the musical episode in this?
So musical episode comes in and right after like all the way where it's the Halloween episode and Dawn goes out with one of my
Oh
favorite actresses in the world, Michelle Trachtenberg. Amber Tamblyn. Amazing, incredible. And then we have Once More with Feeling, which
oh.
is the
So
music
what
episode, which was
how'd you
quite
feel about
fun.
that?
I Here's the thing. Give me a good musical, I'm happy for days. I loved it. I will say, and this is not a read because I'm not a singer by any means, some of them, perhaps like Alison Hannigan requested, should not have been singing together or at all. Like maybe should have been like in the back for the group photo. I admire their bravery. I think they did a great job,
But
but
she
they
didn't
had
want
the
to do it though.
no, but she was
She said,
good. Like,
I don't want to do it. Please don't make me do it. He says, you're doing it. She goes, I'm horrible. I love that she was bad and sang anyway. Actually, it brings my heart joy because
mhm.
she's not just kind of bad. Auto tune couldn't help her.
No, no, no. And like, unlike the Glee kids, they didn't get any voice like the vocal lessons. They got
No,
like one like
off you
really
go.
intense camp go.
I like it.
Um, my favorite episode. How did you feel about the musical episode?
I loved it, and it was funny because I wasn't a musical person. I wasn't, you know what I mean? I heard you doing a
Mhm.
musical episode, and I go, "Are you? I don't even understand. What are they? What you're doing? A
They're
what?"
smoking a lot down there.
And when I saw, I was blown away. I mean, I can listen to that CD, recognizing I'm dating myself, top volume in my car to this day. Maybe I don't put the CD in, but I did, you know, put in my Spotify, and I can sing every word, and I love all of it, and
What's your favorite
I love
song?
the parts that are out of tune because they put them right on the CD. I like I liked all of it. All of it. Every single, and I like the fact, and unfortunately, Josh is who he is. But I like the fact that he had think of what he did with that episode that nobody was doing. Everybody's done it now,
Yeah,
right? All of a sudden there's a musical episode on Glee, a musical episode here, a musical episode on
Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy was the big shock. I'm
Oh my
like,
god, Grey's Anatomy. It was the worst.
what is going on?
None of them should like. Oh, the only person who should have been singing was Saja Ramirez, who
Yes. And
that
man,
was the
did she
only good
sing.
singer.
Oh,
Everybody else, I just wanted to just
horrible.
die.
Just awful. But
What was your
Sarah,
favorite
oh my
song?
god, she was amazing. But the
What was your
episode was
favorite
bad.
song on the episode?
The first song.
The first song? Every single
What is it
night,
called
the
again?
same arrangement. I go out and fight the fight.
I love it. I love the whole part. I
Yeah.
love that it's campy. I love that there's a big power part to it. I love watching the little, the
Little
video as it
tableaus,
plays
yeah.
out. I love it. I love it.
My favorite is um
Dan's dance. Dawn's
no, no,
dance.
no. It's the
I'm
sweet
just
song.
joking.
Um it's wanna na 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 I got a feeling well. Da, 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 da.
What?
It's sweet song.
What's oh when he sings it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
he's great. I also like
Um
I touch the fire, it freezes me.
I've died. I love it all.
Um,
I wish I could sing with you, Stu, but you know how Allison sings? Think
yeah.
worse. Yeah. I can't even like I'm singing it in my head and I'm like, it's not even good in my head. I sang in my
No,
car the other day and went, uh.
no, my favorite. So I was a theatrical kid, but funny thing, there's an app called Smule that I was on years ago, which is like a karaoke app, and I got added to this like Buffy like revival of this song, so I played the sweet version. But like I just love that it hits such a great tone, and like it's a demon, or it was like, "Why'd you run away? Don't you, yeah, like don't
It's
you like
so
my style?"
it was all perfect. There
It
were,
was great.
I got the mustard out. Even like the background dancers were and those little vignettes were just it was all perfect.
And Marty Noxon was that was Marty Noxon, and um, I've been having a bad day.
Oh, the writing the
Yeah,
ticket. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
I think David Fury was the they got
Yep.
the mustard. Yeah. Like
They
so it was
got
nice that they were able to like thread in those the
mhm.
people that were used to do those late night singing things. But
It was a
that
great
episode
episode,
was followed by was preceded my favorite episode of this season, one of my favorite episodes of this season,
which is
which is Tabula Rasa, where
oh,
Willow uses less
erases
bramble
everybody's memory.
and erases everyone's memory. I I love
Why do you
it
love that one so much?
because it shows the depth of how much Willow's
Mm,
addiction has gone, and the ability for her to pull the wool over everyone's eyes, and she loses control of it. But like the audience hasn't quite caught up yet to how bad it's gotten. They just think that she's like, whatever, I'm a witch, I'll do whatever I want.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and like I remember back in the time, like seeing kind of like the beginnings of the comments on these episodes, and people were like, "Oh, like Tara is just like being like blowing it out of
Or
proportion.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's not that deep."
It's Willow. Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah,
And that's the brilliance of it, and that's this incredible comparison to addiction because everybody thinks an addict is supposed to look a certain way and be a certain way, and you always can see it coming when in actuality it can be Willow.
yeah,
The nicest, sweetest, always has done the right thing, never has taken a risk in her life. And
mm-mm.
all of a sudden, she's pushed in a situation where there it is. She has all this power.
And then also just like I love the Giles storyline too of realizing that. Well, first of all, the fact that Anthony Stewart had left Buffy in season five, and then like left the show in the beginning of season six, and then only to guest appearances was mind
Right.
blowing to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I think it's one of my favorite scenes between Giles and Willow was when he called her an amateur,
You rank, you rank
arrogant, arrogant
arrogant
amateur.
amateur.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it
It
was.
was an amazing. And then she got mean back.
Yeah, yeah, and
That was a
like I
great
think
scene.
it was a really interesting thing to see because she bought into her own hype.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you kind of like you see
100%.
that happening. And she's like, I did this. I can like I and when she brings Amy back from being a rat, because she's just so powerful, all she has to do is reveal the spell and it's done. Like it's so interesting to see where she started and how like
Yeah.
Amy turned herself into a rat in season three, and they couldn't
Figure
get
it
her out
out.
of it. They had that one moment in season 4
She came and then
where she came in, and but it was still a really great episode, and kind of like was a little bit fun, but also like an overarching sadness to it because
yeah.
Buffy had forgotten who she was. Um, like you kind of experience that awkwardness of Willow being like, maybe I'm a lesbian, and have a crush on Tara. It was just a really great episode with a really, really, really sad ending where,
Listen, is that ending when Michelle Branch sings
oh my God,
"Goodbye to You"?
goodbye to you.
Stop it right now. I'll cry. I'll
I
cry. I
love that fucking
can't listen
song.
to that song without belting it out and thinking about Willow sitting on the floor in like
Yeah.
a ball. Too
And
much.
Willow and Tara's packing her things because you had tabula rasa, and then you had smashed,
What's
where
Smash?
Smash is the one where she brings Amy back from being a rat,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah,
they
yeah,
start
yeah.
partying together, and she
Yeah,
realizes
yeah,
that she
yeah.
needs a power boost because she's not that powerful.
Right.
And
They
then
go
she
from like
has
rap.
Wrecked,
Yeah.
where Wrecked was the one where she ended up crashing the car and breaking Dawn's arm or her
Right.
wrist, which I was like, Dawn could have died in that episode and I would have been fine. But again, like, it was interesting because I love the allegory of magic being used in the form of drugs, where she's actually going to get
Yeah.
fixed, and Buffy finds her in like a crack den, floating on the wall, and
Yeah.
then it's. But what I find most frustrating about this season is that all of the actually not frustrating, it's brilliant, but it's also frustrating as a viewer. All of the characters are so inwardly focused, solely on themselves, they don't notice that
For
everyone else
sure.
around them is just spiraling out of control. Buffy is falling deeper, deeper, and deeper and deeper into depression and into this kind of like burgeoning relationship with Spike, where it's a completely toxic relationship.
Right.
You have Willow like circling the drain with drugs, and like really, and the stability in her life is gone with Tara gone, and that kind of like that checkpoint is
Hmm.
gone. You have Dawn becoming a kleptomaniac, which let me tell you right now, Joanna, I couldn't give an absolute shit about.
Nobody could.
When she
Who
opened her,
cares?
when she
Nobody cares.
in Once More with Feeling, when she opened up her little jewelry box, and she was
Mm,
like, "Does anybody even notice?"
no.
Out loud at 16 years old, I said, "No, no, they don't.
No one cares.
Nobody notices nor cares.
Nobody
Does
cares.
anybody even care? No,
No.
no,
No.
God, no, no one, not one human being cares." Um,
So so she leaves and then Buffy finds her. You know what I think it's also cool because what's going on with Xander and what's her face at the time?
they're arguing a lot and talking about their wedding. That was basically it.
I love
Um,
their little dance in their apartment.
oh yeah, it
Yeah.
was
Okay,
great.
so they're on the verge of sort of imploding, right?
But like
But what
that's
I
the
think's
thing is that like
interesting.
what I liked, and the one thing I liked about Xander's storyline this season was that they seemed like the most stable together relationship up until Hell's Bells, where it
Everything
like
goes
you
to hell.
see these moments like these like
Yeah.
them not saying what they're thinking and keeping things inside, and Once More with Feeling with their song,
Yeah.
and but it's in a comedic way where it's like it could just be like people living together not saying the things that they want to say, but they'll get more comfortable with time. But it was really, really interesting to kind of have that. And then, of course, like when Halfrate comes back and is kind of questions Anya's relationship with
Yeah.
Xander, you get these little pieces, like these little dips into like what we're all thinking, which is kind of like,
What the
will
hell?
this actually happen?
Yeah.
And in Hell's Bells, I was the one of, okay, so here's, I love the fact they broke up and that was a whole thing for Anya to go back to being a vengeance demon. I hate how they did it. It was the stupidest plot line ever.
That
That like
he because of seeing the future or because he was tricked into seeing a future?
yeah, like it just made no sense. It was like it because Anya was turned back into a mortal, therefore she wouldn't have half demon children. Um, and that like it was just
Yeah.
it just felt like once again all they needed to do was have a conversation, and instead of being like a grown up Xander, they wrote Xander to just give up.
But that's Xander.
But
That
that's the
is,
thing is like six
I
seasons in, when
know.
Willow's circling the addiction spiral, and like has kind of like is now sober in this part of the season when Hell's Bells comes along, and Buffy is really trying to make an effort to like figure it
Support.
out,
Yeah, yeah,
support
yeah.
Dawn, support herself, kind of work on pulling herself out of depression. And for Xander to be the only character that has not really grown like you thought he was in through season 5 and 6, you're getting these like
Little
building
bits, yeah.
blocks of like Xander growing, only for him to be like, oh no, I've gone nowhere.
I don't know. You really see it like that? Because I don't know if he went nowhere. I think that that tapped into so many people right before they get married. It just
Yeah.
again, it just exaggerated and exemplified like what goes on in people's heads. Fine, it's not about demon kids, but it is about, are we going to be good parents? Are our
Hmm.
differences going to, their differences might have seemed bigger, but are our differences just going to tear us apart? And I love her and she loves me, but do we actually fit? And I think those are a lot of fears that the average person would have. And I think Xander's been broken this whole time for one very sad reason.
Yeah.
And I don't think any other character, and I'm going through them in my head, oh, maybe Angel, no other character had a home life like Xander's. He was broken from the
Yeah.
hop. He spent
Yeah.
Christmas in a tent in his backyard, so he didn't have to hear they would make, his drunken relatives fight. I feel like that broken part of him, it's just one of those things. Lots of people would say, I don't know if that ever heals. And he just keeps making bad decision after bad decision.
Yeah, and like I get it. Like he doesn't he it was completely motivated by the fact that he doesn't want to turn into an abusive drunk like his father.
Yeah.
I get that. But
Yeah.
again, like I wish, and this is like me being revisionist, but I wish, or like kind of like hoping to have a revisionist a pen, but like to go back and just revise the storyline a little bit, that we were able to see more of Xander's home life, like we were able to see,
Yeah.
and both like Willow's and
Sure.
Xander's together, because you get like
Yeah.
bits of Willow's, but only when it's like
Couple
convenient for
episodes
the
maybe.
story. And
Uh-huh.
Xander's as well. You really only had one family you saw, which was Buffy's,
Mhm.
which is why it was so hard when Joyce died, because she was really the mom that was like for all the
Everybody had.
characters.
Yeah.
But I think for this storyline with Xander to work and have the same emotional weight looking back on it, because at 16 years old watching this season, I was like, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. But rewatching the show in my 30s, I'm like, I wish I had more of a connection with Xander.
Mm.
Like, I wish I had more of a connection with the family in which he grew up with, so I could be like, this makes sense for his character.
Yeah.
Because you watch him being kind of built up in the last like half of the season 5 and into season 6, and really being that reasonable, like the reasoned voice of what voice of reason in some of these conversations.
Mhm.
And at the end of the season, being able to like talk Willow down, but it doesn't seem to be able to align with the full weight of his character.
But the thing is, too, at the very end of the season, which is probably the best. I mean, Evil Willow was awesome. Bored
Yeah.
now is the best line when
Or
she
no.
rips off his skin.
Hmm.
I can't. Just iconic. Uh and him standing on there. If you'll notice though, he doesn't really talk her out of it. He steps into it with her.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, "Okay." He doesn't he it was no it wasn't a big grand gesture. It was like, it's going to make me cry. Have you ever seen What Dreams May Come?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay. So this scene has always reminded me of the time where he finds her, where he finally finds her at the end,
Oh
and
yeah.
he says, "I'm going to do what I never did with you before, which is I'm going to stay with you." I'm
Yes.
going. I'm. If this is where you're going to be, then that's where I'm going to be. And then she has to rescue him, basically, right?
Yeah.
By the way, if you've never seen What Dreams May Come, it's top 5 movies of all time. It's amazing. And I'm sorry, I've just told you the end. But that's what that scene reminds me of. That he doesn't try to talk her out of it, really. He just says, if this is where you're going to be and you're going to need to do this, okay, then I'm going
Yeah.
to stay here and do it with you. And that was such an amazing, powerful moment where that's all Xander can offer.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he's got. He doesn't have any grand gestures of insight or inspiration or heroicism. All he can offer is, well, if my best friend's going to end the world, then you start with me because this is where I'm going to be.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't know if it's not that transformative of him. I just think it's all he's got to give. I
I
don't think he
know.
has any more.
But that's sad. Like
Yeah,
it's
but that's a lot of people, Stu. You know
mm-hmm.
that. There's so many people that are in their 30s and 40s that are still Xander. They'll
Yeah.
always be Xander because they're not going to dig up the past because it's too hard or they don't have the skill set. They're surrounded by accomplished people that they can never live up to, which just escalates their feelings of insecurity, even though they know that they shouldn't be comparing themselves and they have nothing but love for these people in their lives. And then it just perpetuates shitty decision after shitty decision because in no way, shape, or form can that ever heal them or make them whatever. Like he never had a path of his own, ever.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. It's just like it's just so sad to live in the world of Buffy and have like
But
this
I think
character.
somebody needed to live in the world of Buffy and
Hmm.
be the guy that watches, like
Yeah.
quite literally. And they have quite a few episodes that attest to it. Just this guy that, and it's not that he doesn't have stuff to give because he's not a wolf and he's not a witch and he's not a demon. He doesn't have stuff to give because he has nothing. He can't escape that house in the backyard at Christmas
Hmm.
time. I
Yeah.
think, I think that that's super uh even though it's annoying and I get all the reasons why we could have understood that character better the way that I, even if they meant to, but the way I described it, had
Hmm.
he done what you were describing 100%. But I would have liked to have, but I still think there was a purpose for his character.
Oh, like there's a purpose for
Like
all the
that.
characters. I mean, like we skipped over an episode of As You Were, when Raleigh comes back with his new wife, who I actually loved the actress who played his wife,
Yeah, she was actually fun in it, right? Yeah,
Mila Milicevic,
she was good.
Reach. I loved her. Ilana. Oh my God, Ivana
Ivana, yes.
Milovic. Oh my God, I'll try it one more time.
Okay,
Ivana Milechevic.
there we go.
There we go. Ha.
She was good.
I liked
She was
her.
good.
I will,
I would have liked her better without Riley. I
and
didn't
like
need.
the part that again pisses me off is the fact that she apologizes to him.
I
She
know.
apologizes for not showing her feelings, and then he forgives her. And I was like,
It just there was no need for it. There was no need for it. Um,
oh,
we've kind of glazed over, and I think that it's purposeful. Like, I mean, Jonathan and Andrew don't really have a lot of weight in
well,
season
we're gonna do a
6.
part two. I know that Stefan has a lot of thoughts on the trio.
Yeah,
My thoughts on the trio are probably exactly in line with yours,
yeah,
where I I've never been more angry in my life, but I will say, and I will, what I liked about the trio was the fact that it kind of showed like Warren was a pathological misogynist,
yeah.
um, rapist, like, and
Yeah.
his demeaning and like attacks on Buffy, um, and kind of like the harassment that he put her through to demoralize, demean,
Hmm.
and bring her down from a seat of power to give him like that seat of power that he wanted so badly and that domination. Um, it what I had a hard time with Warren was that every other character, female character on that show internalized that abuse. That like you have every single character unable to beat
Hmm.
these three men or these like three early 20 something little boys
Hmm.
who want to play like with magic and want to be like the trio of evildoers. And I think that what I found, I'm going to remove Warren from this
Yeah.
trio for a second and just
Skip it.
talk about Jonathan Andrew.
Hmm.
I cannot stand the character of Andrew because it he was a representation of every sort of like weak-willed person who just follows along behind someone who is a charismatic, um, magnanimous
Hmm.
personality. Whereas Jonathan, and like it doesn't change. She just changes alignments
Hmm.
later on, and is like comes back to when he was in season 7. I and they brought him into the fold. I
Yeah.
pretty much was done. I was
Hmm.
like, this kid, like, how can you come back from that?
Yeah.
Especially considering the amount of things they put through that led up to the death of one of their like friends, and Willow's like one quote unquote one true love. But Jonathan, since you spent more time with Jonathan, you have this like weird empathy for him where you're like, I
Yeah.
know he's just looking for a place in the world, but even he is a dissenting voice in every decision, or
Yeah.
he
He
gets a
is. He
little too
says
carried away.
constantly.
And he
Yeah.
realizes that the train has left the station and he is unable to stop it.
Yeah.
So he takes Andrew, they try to escape, but like I felt like this entire season intermixed with the kind of the inner demons and the like the monster of the week, this thread of these three men led led by one of them, led by the most or two men led by the third one, it's just like it just is a, basically an allegory for like the abusive, frustrated little men who
But
stand in the like that women
yeah.
battle every single day of their lives. And it was just so frustrating to see that they could not overcome it, like overcome these three human males. And
Well,
it's such a strong message that kind of like show the undeserved power these men have over them.
Willow did. And but I think and that's
Willow did,
why like
yes.
next episode I think we should spend I think talking about the trio is actually quite important because I think it was important in hilariously enough 1999, 2000, 2001, and here we are, Stu.
Hmm.
Here we are with the
Yeah,
Jordan Petersons and the Tates and the
yeah.
Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro might be Jonathan. I don't know. Is it the same person? Can we put them next to each other? Can we have them in the same room? We
And like,
have these men who
mhm,
have podcasts and pack stadiums filled with people professing the exact same garbage in 2022.
yeah.
Their whole career is that. So, on that
Mhm.
angry note, we're going to pause and come back with. Can you tell me your favorite quote from season 6 before we go? A happy note. Now my blood pressure is all up because I've said
A
Jordan
happy
Peterson and
note.
Andrew Tate.
Um, what was my favorite quote from the show? Um, the only thing that comes to mind is bored now.
Bored now. Bored now is perfect, but I
Yeah.
think the Giles quote to her is
Oh,
pretty
you
amazing.
rank,
Is
arrogant amateur.
right.
Well, buckle up,
Eric.
Ripper. I just went pro. That's my
I just
favorite.
went
Yeah.
that fight, and we're gonna come to that fight, because
Yeah.
that fight scene is the best. Is
Yeah.
the best.
I will
Highly
say the
enjoyable.
most hated quote I have in this season is when she says, Oh, come on. 8 years or 6 years on the sidelines. Now I get to be the Slayer. And then Buffy comes back with the worst line ever where she goes, "You have no idea
What a
what it is.
slayer
You can't
is.
even comprehend what it is to be a Slayer." And then Willow says what we all think. You need to get every inch of your ass kicked. And I was
That's
like,
a good
yes.
line. That's a good line.
Yeah.
That should be a t-shirt. You need to get every I like it. I think that
Yeah.
should be the name of our joint podcast.
Yes.
You need to get every inch of your
Inch of
ass
your
kicked.
ass kicked. Oh, Buffy. Like, oh, Buffy.
Oh my god. All right, on that note, Sue, tell the lovely people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Janikon, Janikon underscore, where I take lots of pictures of my friends. I'm rarely in
He is
any
an
of them.
amazing photographer, guys. Like
Oh, thank you.
stupid, amazing, and it's quite annoying because he showed me how to do it on my phone, but my phone doesn't work the same as his phone.
It does. And you
It
can
does
find me on
not.
TikTok where you can laugh with me almost every single day at the same Janikon, Janikon underscore, where I laugh a lot and tell really funny stories
Every day.
every single day about myself.
All about me.
All of them.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We'll see you next Tuesday. Same bat time, same bat station. Have a good night, folks. Dismissed.